So a recent poll, 82% of Democrats said sex is not determined at birth. I'm not making this up. So let's just put aside for a minute that you can look at a baby's genitals and scientifically say what it is, a boy or a girl. But basic sixth grade biology, you learn if you have a Y chromosome, you're a male. You don't have to be an expert. But Democrats are science deniers, not because they're stupid. I mean, a lot of the college kids believe the propaganda they're told, and they probably believe this. But the leaders aren't this dumb. They use this for a political agenda. They deny science for a political agenda. So they used to get their constituents angry and go out to vote because they demanded gay marriage, you know. And ironically, Democrats hate democracy because when every state voted to ban gay marriage or not, overwhelming every state voted in favor of the ban. Even the most liberal state, California, the ban won 70 to 30%. Like, it was overwhelming. Nobody wanted gay marriage, you know. But what Democrats do when they don't get their way, they push it through the courts, and they're always try and get the laws passed. So they got gay marriage passed, boom, just like that. All these states for years that voted for a ban were overturned by the Supreme Court. Okay? So now you would think they would be happy. They have gay marriage. No, because they got to keep their constituents angry. They got to keep pushing their agenda. They got to keep the money coming in. So that's why they're pushing all this transgender stuff. So now it's kind of funny because they say it doesn't matter what the body, it doesn't matter if you have a Y chromosome, it doesn't matter if you have male genitals, it doesn't matter what you think in your brain, if you have a man's brain or a woman's brain. And it's laughable because, you know, a decade ago, the science denying part of the feminists of the Democrat Party said there was no difference between men's brains and women's brains, that was stereotypical. So I'm wondering what those science deniers think about their science being denied by these. So it's kind of ironic. Okay, number 2 reason why Democrats are science deniers. Way back in 1958, a French geneticist named Jerome Lejeune, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, discovered the chromosome that could predict the cause of Down syndrome, or the chromosome that called Down syndrome. Major discovery. I mean, everyone said this guy is surely on his way to a Nobel Prize. This was like, he was considered the top scientist of his day. And in any list of top scientists, you'll always see this guy's name. But his study of unborn children scientifically led him to give a speech in front of a very influential crowd of people in the 60s, where he said, undeniably, based on science alone, life begins at conception. That night after the speech, he wrote a letter to his wife. I just lost the Nobel Prize tonight for speaking the truth. And he was right. No one was going to vote him to be the Nobel Prize winner in medicine or in science, because of political reasons, not because his science was bad. His science was correct. And that was in the 50s and 60s he was showing this. Okay? Now, with 4D ultrasound, you can look at a baby and see it's a baby. You know? It's not a choice. It's not a blob of tissue. I mean, these arguments that these Democrats have are anti-science. They're denying the science. There's a baby in there. You know, that baby scientifically has its complete DNA separate from the mother. So you can't say it's the mother's body. That is the most unscientific thing you can say about a fetus or an embryo or an unborn child. But again, they want to push a political agenda. And again, the Democrats proved their true colors with this back in the 70s, when most states had laws against abortion. These democracy-hating liberals took it to the Supreme Court that was stacked by a bunch of political lefties, and they overturned, they voted Roe versus Wade, the big issue that we have that made abortion right across the board legal in every state with no restrictions. And Hillary Clinton and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Barack Obama, they've all said they want no restrictions all the way to the 9th month. Okay? And Bill Clinton, when he was president, he voted against the ban where it was partial birth abortion. You might be too young to remember this, but there was an abortion where they would take the baby halfway out when the baby's kicking, and then they would stick a needle in the baby's head and kill it. It was called partial birth abortion, and the Republicans passed the ban. Bill Clinton vetoed it, but then when George W. Bush became president, he signed it. So thank God we don't have that brutal abortion now. And then lastly, Democrats always accuse Republicans of being science deniers about climate change. And most people they say are climate change deniers don't deny science. They maybe deny how quickly the climate is changing and if the climate is not naturally changing. And these are scientists. William Happer, a scientist, a physicist from Princeton University, one of the top scientists in this country, was on CNN with Bill Nye, who plays a scientist on TV, but has nothing higher than a bachelor's degree, and a journalist who reports on science, debating this issue. And William Happer just calmly said there's a myth that carbon dioxide is a poison, a pollutant. Yet with every breath we exhale carbon dioxide. And he said the only thing that there is more carbon dioxide, are correct, but he said plants love carbon dioxide. The earth is getting greener. That's a fact. And Bill Nye's response was to the CNN host, you're doing a disservice to American people by having this science denier on. And he started getting to the political things of science and never argued the science, never argued what this guy Happer has said. And the same thing with the journalists, and they just ganged up on him saying he shouldn't be on there. And that's another thing, they hate opposition. They just want to shut anyone down who has an opposing view, even if they're given a scientific reason why they oppose. Ted Cruz was interviewing the head of the Sierra Club, and he said, I know your computer models are showing the earth is warming, and your computer models are showing these ice caps are shrinking. He said, but when we actually look at it from the data of our satellites, the earth hasn't warmed in 18 years and the ice is getting thicker. So your computer models got it wrong, correct? He says, no, the settled science is the earth is warming. He kept repeating like a mantra, like he was like brainwashed. He just kept repeating it. It was kind of weird. You can look up on YouTube. He didn't even want to hear any argument. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not saying global warming is a hoax. I'm not saying global warming is happening. I'm just saying, let's debate this. It's not settled science. It's only settled science by these scientists that are getting these humongous grants from universities and from the government that want it to be this way. And again, for political reasons. And you say, well, what political reasons could they have behind that? Well, I'll give you what a Republican senator said and a Democrat senator. First Republican senator was Ted Cruz. He said, when he was younger, and I kind of remember this in the 70s, there was warning because of pollution, we're going to have an ice age. Yeah, the whole earth is going to be covered with ice by 2000. We're having this ice age. We gotta stop this. And what was their answer? These Democrats, their answer was government control, almost like socialism, communism. Let the government needs to tax these big business, get rid of industry, get rid of fossil fuels, and we need to run things. Then they say, oh no, and that was settled science. Now the settled science is the earth is warming, it's getting too hot too fast. What's their solution? More government control, more socialism. And his point is it's a political motivation, not a scientific motivation. And if it was a scientific motivation, capitalist countries that have a free market have the cleanest air, the cleanest rivers. The United States is way cleaner than communist China, way cleaner than the Soviet Union that is semi-communist right now. So the free market is always the answer, okay? Now I'll give you a quote from a Democrat and I'll just wrap it up. Basically, My computer died, I'm sorry. But it was a senator from Colorado who said that we need to ride this global warming issue. Even if the theory of global warming is wrong, it's the best policy for economic and social issues. That was Colorado Senator Tim Wirth, I believe. So there you have it, the Democratic Party and why they are science deniers.